Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour for this week. Joey, exciting week. It is Origin week.
Funny week.
Yeah.
Can't go up.
I know, disappointing. I'm devastated about it.
Not really. It's a victory. You're not public enemy number one up there.
No.
Every year I just say, please be kind.
Suncorp Stadium though,
Yeah.
Game 2.
Well, it's up there with the great sporting calendars on the year. You go through Boxing Day Test or AFL Grand Final or Melbourne Cup. This is right up there. And like Game 3 last year, no one can really go up there from down here. So it's going to be 99.5% of Queenslanders.
Well, it was
hostile.
like that in Game 1. Like the crowd in Townsville.
There was a few blues there. There was patches
random
of
little,
blues, yeah.
some random blues in there. Yeah. But you were up in camp with the Blues this week, up in Kingscliff. They have moved their camp from Coogee in the eastern suburbs up to Kingscliff just to make sure that they're safe and out of the COVID hotspots. So has the shift from camp disrupted them at all, do you think? Or?
No, not at all. They're up there. It's a bit of a warmer climate. It's a nice place where they're staying on the beach. Well, similar to Coogee. But it's a shortened week. So, you know, who played Sunday? Well, Manly played Sunday, or should I say Tom Trebojevic beat the Titans. So a lot of the week will just be recovery, which probably suits New South Wales. They've got that stability.
Well, how much will the shorter week impact Queensland, especially with the changes that they've made and the players who they've brought into camp for the very first time?
It'll be huge. Reece Walsh doesn't know probably Daly Cherry Evans, doesn't know Munster, Andrew McCulloch doesn't know Reece Walsh. So getting to get those combinations, but not only that, the relationship. And, you know, coming in as a young guy like Reece, he's probably had pictures of Munster up on his wall. So it'd be incredibly intimidating. And they probably only have 2 sessions, 2 really good hit-outs. So to build those combinations, it'll be a real challenge.
We'll talk a little bit more about Reece Walsh in a second, but just generally on the changes, because Queensland are known to be the ones who so-called pick and stick. Were you surprised with the changes that they made, or do you think that they were needed changes?
I was really surprised, but a couple had to happen. Harry Grant, obviously, with that injury, brought Andrew McCulloch in. But normally, Queensland, as you said, it's stick and pick, but normally they're more conservative of who they pick. So for them to go out on a limb and pick Reece Walsh after 7 games, 18 years old, I see that as a huge gamble. Look, we have no doubt moving forward in 2-3 years' time, he's going to be a regular at Origin, but to come in at 18 with the series on the line, it's a big ask for a young guy.
How shocked were you when they made that call to select him, or did you think that this could be a potential? Did you think that, you know, maybe he could get a call up because of the injuries?
Well, I think they've showed their hand. They scored 6 points in the first game. So without doubt, I think their thinking is we need some more strike. Obviously with Kalen Ponga being out, Brimson's out also, isn't it? Brimson? Anyway, they've showed their hand to say they need to score more points. So they've rolled the dice, and you know, New South Wales in the past, they've always been bagged by north of the border saying it's an act of desperation. I see this as being a little bit an act of desperation, bringing Reece in.
Do you think
and no knock on Reece. I love watching him play. It's going to be a rep player for 10, 12 years, but 18 years old, playing 7 games, it's a big ask. You don't run 2-year-old horses in Melbourne Cups.
Players have done it before. Freddie played 12 games before his first Origin.
Freddie was a man-child.
Yep.
Freddie was like 100 kilos, and also Freddie was a prodigious talent.
Yeah.
Similar to Reece, but he was a bigger body.
But Ben Ikin, he was 18 as well. I think 4 top grade games for him.
Really? You're comparing Ben Ikin to Freddie? Benny? Benny,
Do you think that Reece Walsh though is a player who's on the verge of becoming the next superstar, or do you think that we haven't seen enough from him to decide that?
It's a hard one because I see the qualities in him. I sit back and watch. I actually make sure I go home in time to actually watch him play because I enjoy watching him play that much. Look, he's got superstar qualities about him. Very marketable young man. You look at him, he's got that superstar sort of sort of persona about him, and when he plays, he's just out of this world. So without doubt, he's going to be one of the dominant players for the next 10, 12 years. But once again, he's going from a level of here, 7 games. He's going up there, and not only that, he's in the cauldron, series on the line. It's going to be a big ask for him.
What would that be like for a player, those like 10 minutes before you're about to run out? How nervous do you think he would, or what would be going through his head?
Yeah, there'd be self-doubt for sure. There'd be that element of, hang on, do I belong here? Please don't make an error. Please don't drop the first ball. I don't know it's the great unknown. It's the great unknown, and you grow up watching it, and then all of a sudden you're there. It's that sort of moment where you go, righto, this is something I've been working at my whole life to get here. Am I ready? Am I ready? I hope I'm ready.
We've got some vision of you when you were about to make your Origin debut.
Geez.
Do you remember what was going through your head here?
No, not really. But I knew I wasn't. I knew I was in there. It just, once again, it was that self-doubt, and normally I'm pretty relaxed before the game. I was just, my stomach was churning. It's hard to describe just the nerves you got. And even the week leading up, those quiet moments where you're on your own in camp and you put your head on the pillow.
Oh, look how young you look.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, I think I was 20. I think I had my birthday, my 21st, while I was in camp.
Yeah, I think I looked at it this morning. I think you were 21.
It's a baby. And you're going out there to play, and especially in that position, look at Freddie. Especially in that position where you're in a really important position, where you got to steer the team around. I just found it was incredibly hard. It took me 2 or 3, 4 years to feel comfortable in that position, telling people where to go. And we lost that series 3-0. I played 2 games and got dropped. So I learned a lot from the experience, but looking back, I just wasn't ready for it.
Is it how nervous do you get? What's your version of nervous? Do you?
Well, it's just that self-doubt. And you're in camp, it's so much fun, you're at training, and then you have the bonding nights and you get to meet your heroes and stuff like that. But it's those quiet moments when you're just about to go to sleep and you're at your head on your pillow and you're dreaming about what you're going to do on the field, and you start going, oh no, am I ready? Have I done enough? Should I be at this level? And then it's, once you're in the sheds and you're on there and you're getting your ankles strapped, that's when it sort of kicks in. You go, I'm about to play Origin, there's a lot on the line here. And then once again, it's that part of you in that brain. It doesn't matter how confident you are, there's that tiny bit of self-doubt where you start questioning, am I ready? Am I ready for this? I wasn't ready.
Who was, in your experience, who was one of the most relaxed players before going out to those big occasions, whether it was playing for Australia or playing for New South Wales?
On the spot, I'm trying to think. Only David Peachey was really relaxed. I think Peach used to lay down and have a snooze on the rubber table. Freddie was pretty relaxed.
Was there anyone who was really anxious?
Mark Carroll is just ridiculous.
What would he do? Pace the sheds? Or?
He paced the sheds, and he wouldn't like to see his jersey till about 5 minutes before he runs on the field. So he would just be stalking the sheds in shorts, no shirt. I think a lot of it was show. But hitting things, just going mental. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was 5 minutes or the 2-minute bell would go. That's when and he would just start yelling out, Jersey! Jersey! Someone would run in the jersey. I was thinking, is this bloke serious? Just put your jersey on, mate. That's Spud.
Yeah. Would that make everyone else on edge, or would everyone just be like, all right, there we go, that's just
stop
you?
Acting like a Derek. Just get your jersey on.
But
love you, Spud.
With Reece Walsh, how does this call-up reflect on the Broncos, the team that let him go?
Well, you got Reece Walsh in your system, and you got Sam Walker in your system. They're moving forward for 12, 15 years, your dominant players. Imagine those two playing together in 4 or 5 years. It just goes to show how far this club has fallen. and it's going to take a long rebuild. I know Ben Ikin's gone in. I think he'll do a fabulous job, but they've got some hard decisions to make, and this is a rebuild which could take up to 5 years. But they need to get that aura about them where every young guy who plays footy in Queensland wants to play for the Broncos. Back in the day when they were superpower in the 90s and the early 2000s, no one wanted to leave the Broncos. No player ever left. I can only remember Justin Hodges leaving at that time to go to the Roosters, and everyone was just shaking their head going, I can't believe this has happened. And, I think a part of it too is the players now of the last couple of years are riding on the success and the aura and, the superstar qualities of the past teams gone by. The Langers, and you go through them all, Tallis, Lockyer, Wendell. You just talk for minutes and minutes on these players, and one team town, and they don't deserve the recognition and the popularity of these players. So it's going to take a long time, so good luck to them.
Is it as simple as getting a couple of, they've got Adam Reynolds going there next year, getting, say, like a Matt Duffy and a Brandon Smith, and then being able to build a team around those, or do you think it's going to take so much
There's
more
players
than
who
that?
I see playing at the moment. Herbie Farnworth, I think he's got great talent. Defensively, he needs a lot of work. Tessie New, the young guy that's recently came into the team. Flegler, these sort of players. Bullymore even. And the young guy, Carrigan. I think there's a really potential top-line players, but they've got to have other guys in. And I do the analogy, when people talk about a successful footy team or a club, so it's like building a house. You're going to build a mansion, which probably you do. You've got to have a team of people. You've got to have your master builders, and you've got to have your architects. But in with that, you've got to have your labourers.
Yeah.
You guys that just turn up every day and just do the hard work. And you mix it all in. If you get the right labourers with the master builders, with the architects, that's when the magic happens and they build Danica's mansion. Similar with footy, you just got to have
and a project manager is the coach who's controlling and
it controls it all. But you need the perfect mix of players. You got to have your superstars. You got to have creative players. You got to have your strike players. But amongst them, you got to have your workers. And who does that best? The Melbourne Storm. Have a look over the years of their players. Blokes like Dallas Johnson, Dale Finucane, perfect example. Where Craig Bellamy loves these players because they do the hard work for the likes of Slater and Smith to do their stuff.
All right, well let's it's nothing compared to your mansion at Bronte.
Oh yeah, please.
All right, well let's wind the clock back a little bit, go back in time to Origin 1996. Man of the series Jeff Tuvey and Alan Langer as well playing for Queensland. Now, these two, we've done some research, their heights. So they're 165 for Alan Langer.
That's 5'6".
I'm so bad at converting.
That's what he's got lifts in his shoes being that big.
And 1.68 metres for Jeff Tuvey.
So that's 5'7", maybe.
Would they, this day and age, still be able to
Probably
be
not.
as strong as what they...
Preston Campbell's another one. Preston Campbell, one of Dalian, Preston. But nowadays, it really bugs me about when they're recruiting young players. You hear, people at different clubs, and they just talk about what they can't do. Oh, look, he's small. Alan Langer's only 5'6". How's he going to defend in the front line? The great players find a way. That's the thing. And Tubes, Alan Langer, great example. Preston Campbell's a great example. Preston would have only been 70 kilos, probably at the most, and was tiny, but he just had that something about him. He had that indigenous skill which you cannot manufacture. You look at his son now, Preston's son, is it Jaden?
Who was playing on the weekend.
Playing for the Titans and doing some great things. So it's probably a battle for these young guys nowadays, but you get the right ones, they find a way to be successful.
Are you still filthy you never got a man of the series?
Well, there was talk that I was going to get the series, but that time Tui's were sponsoring, and the person who won Man of the Series got a crate of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that would have ended up Man of the Series, beer, handcuffs. They're back. What are we talking about? That's 25 years ago. What could
25
possibly
years,
have gone wrong?
Well, nothing would have gone wrong
In
because
my
no one would have
garage,
seen anything.
A crate of beer. Could you imagine? Oh, no.
But there are a number of players in this day and age who they're still not that. They're not that big.
No.
And there are a number of players who have also been told when they're coming through the grades, oh, you probably won't make it because you're not big
Sam
enough.
Walker's 78 kilos.
Yeah.
He's tiny, but he's got the vision, he's got the skill. You can see he's grown up with a footy in his hand. Reece Walsh is another one. He's pretty small. And I understand people are saying he's late 80. He's not 88 or 89 kilo. Yeah. He's 82, 83 kilo. But the gifted ones find a way, and that's what they do.
All right, well, let's talk quickly about the Tigers on the weekend and their absolute mauling at the hands of the Storm. How bad do you think that loss was?
No, it's awful.
How would you rate it?
It's awful. They quit. Simple as that. They quit. And can't put it any other way. Can't sugarcoat it. They quit. It was just awful.
Do you think it could have been worse? Do you think, because going into halftime, it was quite a deficit, but it wasn't
40?
as, I think it was 40.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as, second half, they didn't put on as many points as the first half.
It was just hard to watch. It's like the Titans in the second half against
Manly,
Turbo.
yeah.
They put on 50 points, didn't they? It just seems like I don't know whether it's the new rules or it's just the lack of resilience for some individuals, but it feels like once a team gets a roll on, they really struggle to stop that momentum. But you look at the other teams, you look at the Storm, you look at Penrith, you look at Parramatta, South, Manly now.
Well, even, Manly were down and
they find a way.
They
They find that resilience. Manly were down 24-8, wasn't it, at half time? And the Titans didn't score in the second half. But it's a worry, and it'd be a worry for Michael Maguire because his standards are really high, especially defensively.
And what do you say to a team at half time?
I don't know what you say. I don't think. He didn't go into the shed, did he?
I think he left. I think he walked out early.
But you know what? Halftime doesn't mean nothing. I cannot remember a halftime speech in my whole career. Cannot remember anyone sort of inspiring. You sort of just sit there. You just
trying to get your breath back.
Breath back and just trying to think about your own performance. There's nothing that the coach can really say at halftime. It just comes back on the players. And look, I've played in teams where some of the coaches, some of their game plans was just airy-fairy stuff. But the players know. You get on with it. Your senior blokes say, right, this is what we're doing, and everyone goes along with them. But at the moment, you're not seeing that.
What about, there is some talk that the Tigers are looking to sign Tavita Pangai Jr. Do you think that that's a good option, or should they go after someone like a Dale Finucane, who we were talking about before?
Well, everyone can see the potential of Tavita, but I don't know whether the Tigers would be a good fit for Tavita. Look, if I was managing Tavita, I would say, righto, Tavita, you're going to Melbourne for 2 years. You're going to cop a lot less money. But after 2 years, you're going to come out a different player. And then you can make that money then. I just think he needs to go down to that regime in the Storm. We all know the potential he's got, Tavita. It's a tough one, the recruitment. And Dale Finucane, look, this club's climbing over each other to get him. And not necessarily what he does on the field, it's the way he prepares. I'd seen him prepare in Origin a couple of years ago. It is just... so methodical, the way he does, so professional, and it rubs off on other players. But Dale's played a lot of tough footy. I don't know how much footy he's got left. So go find the Dale Finucane who's 19, 20, 21. And they're out there. He's got to go find a player like that. And once again, the Storm. The Storm don't recruit talent. The Storm recruit character. And that's what other clubs have got to look for.
They do it so well down there.
Well, no one better. They lose Inglis, Folau, Cronk. Look at those fingers. Billy Slater, Cameron Smith. We're talking about 5 champions, 5 once-in-generation player. They're still on top of the table.
Yeah, and you look at who they've got, like Pappenhausen, Grant, Brandon Smith, Cameron Munster. They
recruit those players. Yeah. And you look at some other clubs who lose, champions. Look at when JT retired from the Cowboys. Might be another one. Some clubs just go like that, but not the Storm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Newcastle.
I didn't say that.
All right, well, a big weekend ahead. Women's Origin on Friday night.
I'm calling that.
Yep, we're looking forward to it.
I've got to say, a couple of months ago, I got out to the New South Wales League. Freddie got some emerging young players, 16s, 18s, but then also had the women's team there. So I did a couple of different sessions with the halves, the 16s and the 18s. I've got to say, the attitude of the women's players were just like sponges. How much you could tell, the questions they were asking, how much they were absorbing the information. Then once we got on the field and did some scrimmage, I got to say I was really impressed with it. I'm impressed with their core skills and the way, just the simple things like the catch and pass and where they held their hands. I don't know whether it's a background of playing a lot of touch footy or maybe netball when they were young. I was super impressed.
Yeah, and
Really
I think they might have. Were they with the men's team before the men's team went up to Kingscliff? Because I think I saw some vision. Nathan Cleary was talking to a couple of them, taking them through some stuff. So
I'm looking forward to the game.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. And then, of course, State of Origin for the men. That is on Sunday, live on 9 from 7 p.m.
Do you reckon it'll rate well this time? Well, everyone's in lockdown.
Everyone's in lockdown. I mean, it's the decide. It's the New South Wales decider. Jimmy brings. What is it? DoorDash.
It's going to be a different game. Everyone's going to think that New South Wales are going to hammer them. It's going to be a much different performance. And they got embarrassed last time. Really embarrassed. Queensland. They're going to come out so hard. It's going to be a real battle.
Yeah. Well, I want the now decided to be here in Sydney. Because I want to be a part of it.
I want the whitewash. Whitewash.
Whitewash?
Yeah. Get that dagger and go deeper and then twist it. Big
all
dagger.
right, well, make sure you catch all the action over the weekend. And, of course, you can also stream it on 9 Now. So we'll catch you again here on Immortal Behaviour next week.